Apple, from bankruptcy to global dominance. One of the most significant and valuable corporations in the world today is Apple Incorporated, a brand that is synonymous with creativity, innovation, and consumer technology. It's difficult to fathom a time when Apple struggled to survive, given how devices like the iPhone, iPad, and MacBook have shaped modern technology and culture. However, Apple was on the verge of going bankrupt in the mid-1990s as it lost market share and significance in a field that was becoming more and more competitive. Today, Apple is worth more than $3 trillion, which is evidence of its remarkable recovery. It took time for this change to occur. It called for fearless leadership, groundbreaking inventions, and a relentless pursuit of perfection. Hello and welcome back to our channel. Today, we are diving deep into the incredible journey of one of the most iconic companies in the world, Apple. From humble beginnings to global dominance, Apple's story is nothing short of inspirational. So grab a snack, sit back, and let's explore how Apple went from the brink of bankruptcy to becoming a tech giant. Number 10. Apple is founded. Steve Jobs, Steve Wozniak, and Ronald Wayne, who had collaborated at Atari in the early 1970s, created Apple on April 1, 1976. Steve Wozniak started developing the computer that would eventually become the Apple I in 1975 because he was passionate about making electronic products. Wozniak showed off his prototype at the Homebrew Computer Club, a Silicon Valley hobbyist organization. As a member himself, Jobs recognized the device's commercial potential right away and persuaded Wozniak that the two should establish a business to produce and market the computer. In the garage of Jobs' family home in Los Altos, California, Jobs and Wozniak began constructing the company's first Apple computers. What would grow to be one of the most lucrative and significant technology firms in the world began in this very ordinary garage. Over the ensuing years, Jobs and Wozniak would go on to lead and develop Apple. However, what about Ronald Wayne? He was hired to serve as the only adult in the room and provide a steady, guiding hand in the early stages of the business, assisting Apple in setting itself up for success. His tenure with the organization, however, was incredibly brief. He left Apple just 12 days after the company's founding and sold Jobs and Wozniak his $800 investment. In addition to having tangible assets that would be taken in the event that Apple failed, unlike the youthful Jobs and Wozniak, the three were personally liable for any debt that accumulated should the business collapse. This, along with a negative experience of failed business ventures, caused him to weigh the risks and rewards and decide not to continue. He has often stated that he did not regret leaving Apple, even though he would have been extremely wealthy if he had stayed. He claimed that staying with Apple would have been harmful to his health and that he could not keep up with Jobs and Wozniak's dynamic and occasionally chaotic style. This was the best and most sensible option he could make at the moment. He even went so far as to say that if he had stayed, I would have been the richest man in the cemetery. The Apple I and View. The fledgling business had many difficulties in its early months. Although they had obtained a line of credit, Jobs and Wozniak still required money to construct the Apple I devices. To raise the money, Wozniak sold his HP 65 calculator and Jobs sold his Volkswagen microbus. Paul Terrell, who owned the Byte Shop, a nearby computer business, purchased the first 50 Apple I machines that they were able to make. Terrell validated the co-founder's business plan by agreeing to purchase the completely constructed units instead of the kits that were commonly sold at the time. Rather than purchasing a kit that required customer assembly, the Apple I functioned immediately. It was a basic single-board computer without a case, keyboard, or monitor. All 50 Apple Is were sold despite its basic design because of its affordability and user-friendliness, which drew in hobbyists and enthusiasts. The Apple II, which debuted in 1977, was a major improvement over the Apple I. It had color graphics, a plastic casing, and an integrated keyboard, all of which were groundbreaking for personal computers at the time. The open architecture of the Apple I made it possible for users to add accessories, increasing its adaptability and scalability. Additionally, an early version of VisiCalc, a spreadsheet application that became a game-changer for the corporate industry, was included. The Apple II, which was produced until 1993, was a major contributor to Apple's rise to prominence in the rapidly expanding personal computer industry. Number 9. Introducing the Macintosh. When Apple introduced the Macintosh in 1984, it included a mouse and a graphical user interface (GUI), which made it far easier to use than its peers' command line interfaces. The Macintosh was dramatically introduced to the world in the iconic 1984 Super Bowl advertisement, which was directed by Ridley Scott and positioned the device as a revolutionary act against conformity. The Macintosh had poor sales because of performance problems, a lack of available software, and expensive costs, despite the initial enthusiasm and effective marketing. Nevertheless, in spite of its problems, it had its share of supporters and set the stage for further advances. Number 8. Revolving door of CEOs and a looming bankruptcy. Apple had multiple CEOs between 1985 and 1997, all of whom had difficulty restoring the business to its former splendor. Jobs' first successor, John Sculley, concentrated on marketing but was unable to produce innovative items that were popular. In 1993, he was replaced by Michael Spindler, who oversaw a number of cost-cutting initiatives but was unable to halt the company's downfall. By the mid-1990s, Apple was on the verge of bankruptcy despite Spindler's best efforts. The company's stock price had crashed, and its market share had shrunk to a fraction of what it had been. Apple's product portfolio was disorganized and unfocused, and many of its offerings didn't appeal to customers. Apple's issues were made worse by a lack of consistent leadership and direction, which led to the company losing a large portion of the market and becoming irrelevant. In a final attempt to preserve the business, Apple bought Next in 1996, bringing Steve Jobs back on board as an advisor. Gil Amelio became CEO in 1996 and carried out additional restructuring. In addition to giving Apple access to a cutting-edge operating system, this acquisition signaled the start of a significant change for the business. Number 7. The return of Steve Jobs and the Renaissance. Steve Jobs came back as a consultant, but it soon became obvious that Apple required his guidance to avoid problems. After Jobs was appointed temporary CEO in 1997, he eventually became permanent. He quickly made audacious choices to simplify Apple's product lineup, halting several initiatives to concentrate on a small number of important items. Jobs followed a well-defined plan to continuously innovate and produce high-quality, user-friendly goods. In order to provide a much-needed lifeline, he also managed to get Microsoft to invest $150 million in Apple and create Microsoft Office for Mac. Apple debuted the iMac, a multicolored all-in-one computer, in 1998. In addition to being an economic success, the iMac made a statement with its vivid colors and translucent shell, which stood out in a market that was dominated by beige boxes. Number 6. The iPhone revolution, Jobs' declining health, and continued innovation. The iPhone's 2007 unveiling and subsequent introduction was the single most significant event in the company's history. Steve Jobs conducted the reveal while wearing his trademark black turtleneck at the Macworld Expo. Jobs spent weeks practicing his presentation, which altered the computing world forever and is remembered as one of the most impactful and well-executed product launches ever. Jobs announced that Apple was releasing 3 revolutionary products at the beginning of the presentation. A mobile phone was the second, a widescreen iPod with touch controls was the first, and a revolutionary communications device was the third. When Jobs said that all of these items were in one device and that Apple had reinvented the phone from that day on, the crowd's cheers were little compared to the applause that had erupted for each individual reveal. This was a huge understatement in retrospect. When Apple released the iPhone in the summer of 2007, it utterly upended the mobile phone market. The days of cumbersome keyboards and flip phones were overtaken by a user-friendly gadget. The days of cumbersome keyboards and flip phones were overtaken by a user-friendly gadget. With its tremendously positive reception, the original iPhone made Apple a market leader very rapidly. A year after its inception, the App Store briefly had a large number of third-party apps. After a month, it was making more than $1 million every day. Number 5. Tim Cook's leadership and product releases. After joining Apple in 1998, Tim Cook became CEO and concentrated on growing the company's product and service offerings while preserving its innovative edge. In many respects, he was the ideal person to carry on Jobs' legacy. The two had been close for more than 10 years, with Cook serving as Jobs' right-hand man for many years. Apple greatly grew its services division under Cook's direction. iCloud was introduced around a week after Jobs' death. This was the first of the company's planned series of expanded and new services. Later introduced services like Apple Music and TV Plus further diversified revenue streams, while going up against well-established firms like Spotify and Netflix. It swiftly rose to the top of the global smartwatch sales charts with features like heart rate monitoring, fitness tracking, and seamless interaction with other Apple products. Number 4. Innovation and design. Apple has distinguished itself from rivals by its unwavering focus on design and innovation. Apple devices, ranging from the Macintosh to the iPhone, are renowned for their aesthetically pleasing designs, user-friendly interfaces, and smooth hardware and software integration. Apple's design philosophy places a strong emphasis on elegance, simplicity, and user experience, resulting in products that are both aesthetically pleasing and useful. Even if many goods differ greatly from one another, you can tell what you're looking at with just a fast glance, thanks to its consistent and logical design language. Number 3. The Apple unboxing experience. Apple devotes a lot of time and energy to the unboxing experience, which is renowned for its meticulous attention to detail. The packaging of an Apple product instantly conveys a high-end experience to customers. The box usually has a clean design, premium materials, and a sleek, minimalistic appearance. The product and the Apple logo are typically displayed clearly on the outside. Creating an unforgettable initial impression is the main goal of Apple's unpacking strategy. The box is easy to open and handle because of its sleek and straightforward design. Usually, it has a pull tab or a smooth opening lid that fits snugly and is intended to reveal the contents gradually. The product is usually the first thing seen and is positioned prominently to serve as the experience's main focus. From the positioning of accessories to the feel of the materials, every aspect of the packaging has been carefully planned to make it both aesthetically pleasing and easily accessible. Making a good first impression is the goal of this unboxing experience, and Apple makes sure that the procedure is the same for all of its products. Number 2. Apple Park. Apple Park, the company's corporate headquarters, opened to staff in 2017 and is situated in Cupertino, California. The famous architect Norman Foster created Apple Park, a 175-acre circular campus that is known as the spaceship because of its unusual ring shape. Because Steve Jobs enjoyed strolling, Foster intentionally created a welcoming and pleasurable campus environment. Taking a long stroll is his favorite approach to have a meaningful chat, and it was the best way to make meetings interesting, according to his biography. In light of this, the courtyard encourages staff members to walk about and hold meetings outside by evoking a public park, rather than an office setting. The exterior of the main building is nearly entirely composed of curved glass, which lets natural light flood the internal areas. This design decision is consistent with Apple's minimalism philosophy, which emphasizes simple lines and a clutter-free appearance. As an office building and a tangible representation of Apple and its tenets, the complex's layout and functionality are intricately linked to the company's ideology. Number 1. The Apple ecosystem and brand loyalty. The ecosystem of Apple products and services offers a distinctive user experience. Services like iCloud, Apple Music, and Apple Pay improve the whole experience, and devices like the iPhone, iPad, Mac, Apple Watch, and AirPods all operate in unison. Users can effortlessly switch between devices and access their data, media, and apps from any location because to this close connection. Because people who invest in one Apple product are more inclined to buy additional products and services, the ecosystem's coherence fosters customer loyalty and creates a positive feedback loop of happiness and engagement. This is among the factors contributing to Apple's unmatched level of brand loyalty. The company's services and products blend together perfectly and provide an all-around appealing user experience. Today, Apple is one of the most valuable companies in the world, with a loyal customer base and a reputation for pushing the boundaries of innovation. From mere bankruptcy to global dominance, Apple's journey is a testament to the power of vision, perseverance, and groundbreaking products. Thank you for joining us on this journey through Apple's incredible story. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content on the world's most fascinating companies.